Hey everyone, welcome back to the Coach's Corner here on the NAIA Volley Report, powered by Win One. I'm your host, Daniel Mesquita. Today we're joined by head coach Jeff Phillips of the Goshen Maple Leafs. Coach, thanks for taking the time out of your day. How are things out there in Indiana?
No problem. No, good actually. A little bit of warmer weather this week. We get some rain and all the snow will be gone. But yeah, a good start. The students move back in and start classes again tomorrow.
That's good to hear. I like that poster right behind you. It's pretty cool.
I wondered I leave that in the background, but yeah, I'll just leave it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It shows some character. I love it, Coach. But last season, the 2025 season was full of growth, full of milestones for the Maple Leafs. Goshen had three student athletes named to the academic all-district team. You had Cassidy Failer, you had Brenna Spangler, and Elena Wolf. On the court, you had three crossroad all-conference nods. Again, you had Elena Wolf, Sydney Stutzman, and Brenna Spangler earning honorable mention nods. Coach, how proud of you are these athletes? How proud of you are of these athletes that have balanced, academics and athletics at such a high level?
Yeah, it's one of those things that we're really proud the 25 or 24-25 team won the GPA award for the department. Academics we try to make, a priority, obviously, right? NAIA and focus on those type of things. So the team did a really great job of 24-25. Another great job this fall. But those three, exemplify the type of player that we're looking for in terms of being able to balance those types of things and do the right things in the classroom and then be able to compete at a high level for us on the court as well.
Balance that they did, Coach. Let's talk a little about Elena Wolf. She had an incredible season. The junior libero, she recorded 382 digs, averaging 3.75%. She reached another major milestone. She had 1,200 career digs. That's the first Maple Leaf to do it since looking back to 2012. She also posted 81 assists, her career high. What is it like coaching Elena throughout her career, and what makes her such a great teammate and a player as well?
Yeah, it's one of those things. She took over the libero role for us a few matches into her freshman season. Actually had an injury in the preseason that year, and so had a little bit of a slow start. And then once she's taken over that role, it's one she's held for us throughout her junior season. And then, something that a lot of people didn't know, we didn't really publicize it a lot for this year. She played the whole season with a torn shoulder.
Wow.
That's why she didn't serve. And has just recently had surgery on that shoulder. She's starting to get into physical therapy and do those type of things. So we're hoping to have her back for a senior season, fully healthy, and feeling a lot better. But she played through a lot of pain this year and did it without showing it to a lot of people. I think there'd be a lot of teams that would be surprised by that who played us this year. Continued to play at a high level, continue to do the things that we're accustomed to seeing her do, but did it through a lot of pain this year. And we're excited to have her back, hopefully pain free for her senior fall in that role again for us.
Well, I wish her a speedy recovery and talk about grit. That's just, I mean, a torn shoulder, that's just something that's going to be nagging every day. And for her to do that just speaks volumes about her character, on the court, off the court. But I mean, it seems there's been another injury as well. Talk about Sydney Stutzman. I know she was out for the previous two seasons, but she came back and she was resilient. She surpassed, 1,000 career assists in just two seasons. I think she finished with over 1,100. She also added 41 aces and 200 digs. From your perspective, Sydney's journey, what did that teach you about perseverance and commitment as a student athlete and what you're looking for when you get these Maple Leafs?
Yeah, it was one of those things that she had played her freshman season before we took over the program,
Okay.
and then coming in sophomore season, preseason, had a knee injury during preseason before the season, so didn't get to play her sophomore year. And then Goshen has a unique setup in the program that she's in academically. So she's in marine biology, and so the junior fall
Okay.
um, students in that program go to Key West to Goshen's marine biology facility. And so she did that. So that was one of those things that wasn't really injury involved. She was still recovering and doing those type of things, but likely would have been able to participate her junior season, but had to do that for academics. And then you come back for that spring of this year, spring 2025. She got a spring in. She was able to get healthy and start feeling better and doing those type of things, and then come in for her senior year preseason feeling like she could compete and do those type of things. But really, our expectations, we wanted to manage those obviously at the beginning of the year to know, how she's going to feel. She hasn't played in a couple years, really played competitively in match,
Yeah.
match shape and those type of things. So for her to come in and do what she did this season was really impressive and obviously benefited us, as a team. And again, another piece of information that hasn't, obviously it doesn't really go out to the public necessarily,
Yeah.
but because she missed those 2 seasons in the middle of her career, she came to us at the end of the season this year, and asked if we'd want her back for another season. So I think she's going to come back for the fall next year again, which is another exciting thing for us. Allow her, I think she's going to, finish a double major that way, give
Wow.
her, some things academically, but also help our team for one more season. And so we're excited to have her back for fall of 2026 as well.
No, that's great to have her back, and also not only doing it at a high level for you guys, but also in a highly stacked conference. The Crossroads League is no doubt a tough one day in and day out. You never know who's going to pull it out. It's just who wants it the most, and it's on any given night, coach. But let's talk about Brenna Spangler. She had a breakout season. She posted a career high in kills, aces, digs. She had 22 solo blocks, 48 block assists. She also had more assists this season than her past three combined. How excited has it been to see Brenna take her game to another level this year or this past
Yeah,
year?
she's one of those. I was really excited to have her, get on that team her senior year. Her words basically just consistency. She's been, a consistent middle, consistent presence, doing all the things that we've asked her to do, all the little things that middles have to do that don't show up on stat sheets. So it was nice to get her, some of those stat, lines that for career, she ends up, moving up into career blocks and those types of things because she's so consistent and was able to hold a role for, her career. And so to see her sort of really excel her senior year and really push and, and achieve some of those, career milestones was exciting to see and really happy for her and for her to be able to do those type of things, right, and close out her career that way was something that made us really proud for sure.
And I know we talked a lot about individuals, but let's talk about a team as a whole. You guys, the Maple Leafs, finished ninth in the Crossroads League, just shy of the conference tournament. But you had some standout moments, including a season sweep against St. Francis. That's a program's first sweep since 2019. What moments from that season do you feel that really define the team's growth and identity?
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that like if you say that in a vacuum, a lot of people, oh, you beat a team twice for the first time in, 6 years. It doesn't sound necessarily as impressive or as sort of program, improvement, you know, that type of thing doesn't necessarily show up to people. But when you talk about, hey, in the Crossroads League, it's a difficult conference. This year, even, more specifically,
Yep.
was very deep. Those teams 1 through 8, kind of beat on each other, right? More so even than is normal for a regular season. And so it was one of those situations that, being able to beat a team twice in this league is a big deal.
Yep.
It's one of the hardest things that people recognize in volleyball. You play the same team twice. You start to see it in even the highest level of when you beat that team once, that's good. Maybe you had a great match. Maybe they didn't have it. All kinds of things could have happened that first match. But if you beat them again, right, it's easier to say, hey, we did the right things in 2 matches. We were able to beat that team. It's easier to say, hey, it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a random match that happened. It's hey, we've improved. We might be better than that team that season. It's easier to say that when you're able to beat that team twice. And so I think that is a big deal. I think that's one of those things that, the previous season we were able to get 2 wins in the conference, same as we had this year, but it was a win against 2 separate teams. And so again, there's a lot of people, well, maybe those are just fluke nights that,
Mm.
Goshen had a good night and those 2 teams had a bad night type of situation. Whereas you start stacking a few more wins, you sweep a team in the conference, then you start to say that there's some actual improvement happening, and you're getting some results that are different and new and are improved results, even if the overall record is still not where we want it to be.
Brick by brick, coach, and I'm sure you guys are going to keep stacking those chips and have a great year next year. But with these milestones achieved and these young players stepping up, what's the vision that you envision for these Maple Leafs as you take on this program for another year under your belt?
Yeah, I think the Crossroads League demands improvement every year. So, and that's one of those things that's hard for people to understand as well, right? Obviously, if you are, you're competing in the conference, you're competing in a conference that's that deep. The idea of moving up within that conference, it doesn't just automatically happen, right? You have to build a team. You have to have some veteran presence that is, ready to compete at the high level that this league demands. And you have to recognize that all nine other teams are investing in doing the same thing that you're doing.
For sure.
So the idea that you're going to be able to take an off season and bring in a recruiting class and make some massive jump in a conference like this is very, very difficult because all of the teams that were already, competing at a high level and winning national championships and doing those types of things,
Yep.
right? We're already doing those things. And so they're going to spend their off season doing the exact same thing. They're going to recruit people, they're going to improve, they're going to get in the gym and do all those types of things. So it's not like some of the teams ahead of us are going to fall off, right? And just let us move up within the conference. That's not how it's going to work. So the idea of, how do you convince some recruits to come in and help us go on that ride to try to move up within this league, right? And how do you try to improve the roster that you already have and really get in the gym and try to maximize, the potential of your current players, right? And you do that a small amount at a time, right? And that it's hard for people to recognize that, this becomes a multi-year process just to move up within the conference. Not, I know a lot of people watching Indiana football would tell you, well, it's a lot easier. I'm
Hmm.
sure it is if you've got $50 million in your pocket to
Just to throw away.
write some,
Yeah.
to write some checks, but
Yeah.
it's a little bit different at this level, right? Like we don't have that idea that you can throw some NIL money around, you can get whoever you want,
Hmm.
right? This is a much more building type level of volleyball and level of sport where like you're gonna have to build a little bit slower, and you're gonna have to hope that players are willing to go on that ride and kind of sustain that progress over a number of years in order to really see the results grow the way people want them to grow.
No doubt, coach. And I'm sure that vision is going to come to fruition next year and the years after that, coach. But before we get out of here, coach, where can we find the Maple Leaves on social media? Where can we find you on social media? Just to let some of the people watching know and they can give you all a follow.
Yeah, Instagram, Goshen College _ WVB. That's the easiest. We have Facebook is connected as well. So I know that's active also, but the Instagram's the easiest. That's where we post all of our schedules and things like that, highlights, those types of things. So that's the easiest way to follow us for sure.
Thanks, coach, for joining me today. Everybody watching, make sure you follow the NAIA Volley Reports on all socials at NAIA Volley Report. And make sure to subscribe to this channel. We can catch more episodes of the Coach's Corner. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this interview. And good luck the spring season and then the fall season of next year, coach. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.